Hey everybody, still out here making videos. I've got so much to catch up on from this tournament on the James River, and I'm going to talk to you about this little rig right here. Now this is something that I've used quite a bit over the years, and I love throwing a Carolina rig anyway, even though, I'm a spinnerbait chunker and I'm flipper, but I really enjoy throwing a Carolina rig, and I always have, like your conventional 3/4, 1 ounce, 3 or 4 foot leader. Man, it's a super effective way to catch fish, but I've kind of modified that thing into something really special. I knew a guy years ago that on Beaver, and he used a rig very similar to this, and my goodness, he caught a lot of fish, and it is ultra effective. And what it is kind of a miniature Carolina rig, and it works really good when you're fishing really shallow around a lot of cover, boat docks, bushes. Like this week on the James, there's lots of wood in the water. Now it's fishing shallow on low tide, but 6, 7 feet at high tide. And this was the rig. It works in that. Last year at the Grand Lake at the Nation Championship, this was by far the best thing I caught them on that week. Fishing really shallow around boat docks where I'd normally pitch a jig, but those fish were just numb to that jig because they'd seen a million of them. This is a great bait for this. But what it is, just a standard Carolina rig kind of setup. This is one time that I do use tungsten, and I don't use tungsten much, but on this rig, I want to keep everything kind of downsized. I use a 5/16 ounce tungsten slip sinker, just a regular old slip sinker, glass bead like always on Carolina rig, a swivel just like Carolina rig, and then never over a foot of leader. Actually, I prefer more about 10 inches, something like this. This one's just a little, this is a fresh one I started out with. That way if I break it once, I can still tie another one in, but never over a foot long on the leader. And sometimes really only 5 or 6 inch leaders, all you need with this rig. Sure enough, if you're fishing around a lot of cover, really shallow, from a 5 to 10 inch leader, I like to use just a regular round bend 2/0 light wire Gamakatsu bronze hook. It's a lighter hook. It doesn't mess up this bait. And the two baits I like the most on this, by far my favorite one is the Zoom Ultra Vibe Speed Crawl. It is the perfect combination for this. And the great thing on this little light rig is when you pull that speed crawl along the bottom with this, when those little flappers go to flapping, this bait glides up and then it glides back down. And it glides up and it glides back down. With those little paddle, they paddle and then they just glide back down. These fish can't stand it. And I also like to use a Zoom centipede, just the old school Zoom centipede. I don't have one laying here, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Just a little straight 4-inch centipede. It's super effective on this rig. I caught fish at the James River on the centipede and the speed crawl, but by far the speed crawl is the best bait for this rig in my opinion. I don't get crazy on the colors. I use green pumpkin candy. Up there I was using green pumpkin blue centipede. I didn't have that in a speed crawl, but I just using plain green pumpkin. Like on Grand last year, I was doing a green pumpkin with dyeing the pincher chartreuse. But you can get whatever color suits you on the speed crawl. I think will work for your lakes and your area. But this is just a bait. I fish it just like I used to fish an old Texas rig going down the bank. You know, if you just casting a Texas rig and just fishing along the bottom. I don't necessarily just drag this rig all the time. I really fish it just like an old school Texas rig. And I try to pitch it into a lot of cover, up around docks, just like I'm fishing Texas rig. Cast it up the shore and then just work it back out. It is ultra effective. The fish grab it, they don't spit it out, they hold on to it because of that leader line. The other thing is with that short leader, you still get the freedom of this bait that's real natural and subtle looking and not confined to the sinker. And it's easy to cast around things. Though a big Carolina rig, you just can't hardly throw it or anything. It's looping around. Next thing you know, it's all hung up and everything. But when you keep this leader really short, down 6-8 inches, it's really easy to cast this thing or even pitch it right up, right where you want it to be. And it works. I caught one. I pitched it right up beside a log and brought it right down beside, just like I was pitching my creature bait, except for this little rig. And you kind of have that little bait following that sinker down, and it really, them fish really like it. I prefer to use this on a 6.5 foot G Loomis rod with one of my old standard Corrados. This one this time had, I just dug it out of the rod box to use it, but I had 15-pound fluorocarbon line on there, and then I was using a 14-pound monofilament leader right here. Normally, I really prefer 10 on this, just to kind of help make the bait more subtle. But if you got a lot of cover and stuff, just do a 14 main line with a 14 leader or 12. The lighter you can get by with, the better action that bait has, and I think it may help you with some bites. But here I had 14 and 14 with no problems at all, or 15, I mean. So, or actually it's 15 main line on the fluoro, and then 14 on the monofilament on the actual leader. So super effective. I like the little shorter rod because I can cast short cast with it, just like old school Texas rigging, except for it's a Carolina rig. Put that in your arsenal. There are times when you're just going along, you're like, I'm not getting very many bites on my Texas rig or jig, and you're like maybe on their highly pressured fish, or you just need something a little different to throw. Try that rig out. I promise you, it's ultra effective, works really well. It works great, it's really shallow, works great, really deep. It will catch you more fish, and we'll see you next time.